Man, I gotta say, cold-blooded in this episode. Welcome to a spoiler review of Better Call Saul, Pimento. And we got one more episode, guys. Season finale's next week. So it was definitely a huge setup for next week. And I gotta say, the ending really broke my heart. So I'm assuming you saw the episode. These are just my thoughts. I'm just going to go what I like about it, what I didn't really like about it. And man, you know what? There's never anything not to like about Saul. It has been phenomenal. It's been a great series so far. This episode wasn't, top 10 episode, or wasn't the most amazing episode, but it definitely had a simple setup and it paid off at the end. Now the interactions were beautifully done, especially with Saul and Chuck, and also with Mike showcasing basically why he doesn't need a crew and why he's the only man for the job. And we see him go into that little veterinarian and trying to find work. 1500 though. 1500 to protect somebody, it seems a little less. I expected Mike with his expertise to get a little bit more cheddar, but it seemed that wasn't the case. But he doesn't need a gun. That's all you need to know. He doesn't need a gun. When Mike said, when the guy next to him's like, well, what's in the bag? What are you packing? He's like, I'm pretty much a sandwich. And this is, I got some awesome cheese in there. He's not packing anything. He doesn't need a gun because he does his research. I thought Mike's side story was actually really great, just to get the mindset of, listen, Mike is not somebody you do not want to mess with. You don't mess with Mike. He doesn't need a gun to take you down. He'll use his head. He knows everything about you. And that's what we find out when he's helping, when he's protecting this one guy who's not a bad guy, but he is a criminal. So explaining to him, listen, and we see guess who it is? Guess who is the guy they're exchanging the freaking pills to with the money? It's freaking Nacho. Nacho comes out, he's trying to be imitating, but Mike knows his game because Mike did his research and said, listen, he's selling these pills on the side. He's taking these pills on the side, and he's not letting his boss know. So I knew nothing was going to go down, and I got you your extra $20. I absolutely liked that scene. I thought that scene was really great. It was just like, mano y mano. Someone going to die off of $20. And also in the back of my head, I was like, these situations always goes down as a shootout or somebody betrays somebody, but that wasn't the case. These two just, did their business and separated. So I'm glad that the writers and the showrunners demonstrated, listen, Mike knew exactly when it's going to go down and when it's not going to go down. So I really liked that whole storyline right there. I really liked that whole, setup going on, the exchange, so to speak. So let's get to Saul though. Saul and Chuck, man, Chuck's feeling good. Chuck's, he thinks he doesn't have that disease anymore. He's walking. He has a little astronaut blanket inside of his little coat. It's all good, looking all good for Chuck. But of course, Chuck and Saul have all that paperwork to do in order to get, close this case, in order to get the profits of the RICO case that's going on that they had from the last episode. But this is going to take them years because they're only two people. Now, when Chuck suggested that, I knew he was going to suggest this. I think this was you can see this a mile away, that he was going to suggest to Saul, let's take this to the firm. That's right. We got to take it to Howard. We need more manpower. This is going to take years, but if we get more manpower, it's going to be like that. You're going to get all the profits, but we got to hand this case over. And that's exactly what Chuck convinces Saul to do. And man, everything was going good, but I knew Howard was going to be a dick at some point. So I did like, where they're at the board meeting, everything's going good until Saul says, okay, I want my office next to Chuck's. Once Howard said no, I knew either it was because of Kim that Howard is saying no, or it's because of Chuck. But beforehand, Chuck made a phone call, and I thought that was very suspicious. But it definitely, there's no shadow of a doubt that Chuck had to do something to with Saul not being pretty much a permanent position at that firm. But why is Chuck so reluctant to have Saul be part of the crew? Why does he not want him to be there to work with him? And then we find that out at the end of the episode. But I did like Saul's, when his just meltdown, not meltdown, but his basically explosion towards Howard. Because we all want to know, like, Howard, why are you being such a dick, man? Why are you being such an asshole? And you got to feel sorry for Howard at the end of this episode as well. Because Howard does spill the beans to only one person, and that's Kim. And Kim tried to convince Saul, listen, goes over there at the night, Saul has all his booze going at the nail salon. And Kim is just trying to tell him, take the deal. And Kim is a great friend, maybe more than a friend at this point. And she's really trying to look out for Saul, even though Saul is just, saying a lot of mean things. So, yeah, Saul finds the truth. Saul finds the truth that Chuck made that call and told Howard, don't give this guy, a position. And I really liked that mano-a-mano showdown. You had Mike going against Nacho. And then on the other hand, you have freaking Chuck going against his own brother Saul. And I thought it was such a great interaction. It was the moment we wanted to know. We were invested. We were rooting for Saul. We know his struggles. So the man who's really bringing him down is not Howard. It's not the firm. It's not his bad luck. It's Chuck himself who's saying, you're not good enough. I love you. I was proud of you when you got a job and you cleaned up your act, but you're not a lawyer. You are not a lawyer. And that's the funniest thing, because I think we're all thinking, like, look what Saul has done in all these episodes. He's first of all, this is his case. He found this case. He found this $1 million case. How is that not lawyer? He did a lot of cases. He was going case after case after case. He was helping the elderly. This guy was as much as a lawyer as anybody else at that firm, and Chuck himself. But Chuck saying, given the argument that he spent years, he struggled. He really went to a real school, while Saul went to an online class. And that's where, that's why we root for Saul. That's why we said, listen, look at all the struggles he's been through to this point. And then, of course, Chuck saying, listen, you're going to abuse this power. You're going to get into the law firm and you're going to abuse everything that you learned for your own little selfish reasons. And, Saul, you got to agree. You got to agree with Chuck a little bit that, yeah, Saul had some bumps on the road. He took the money from the Kettlemans, but he gave it back. There's been and he also was trying to do those little schemes. You had those two kids on the skateboards. Saul, by all means, has done some wrong, but he's always seemed to turn around and do right. He has been honest. He has been, trying to do better than bad. And that's what, Chuck really just is fueling the fire of Saul going back to his troubled past. So I believe Chuck is wrong on this one, even though he's a little bit right, but just, throwing it at his face and saying he's not good enough is just going to make it worse. And that's exactly what's probably going to happen next week in the season finale. But I love that showdown. I love the fight these two had. That's really what the episode was about, was basically getting this case to the other firm and also learning the truth that, listen, Chuck never wanted Saul to work at that firm. Chuck never wanted to work with Saul. And Chuck wanted to really just bring him down, even though it's his brother, even though he was proud of him, even though he gave him, he helped him out. Saul has done a lot for Chuck as well, so it's kind of balanced out. Of course, Saul wants nothing to do with his brother at this point, and we'll see if he becomes the lawyer we know from Breaking Bad. But of course, I think something happens to Chuck along the way. That's my prediction. So, great episode. Not too, just a simple setup for Mike and Saul and Chuck, but another solid episode. Big setups for things to come in the season finale. It's going to be great to see what happens. I think, Saul's going to start, it was hinted with Kim when Kim told Saul, listen, why don't you be your own man? Have your own firm. Just take the money and do something with it. Just be yourself. You don't have to be in that firm. So I think that's hinting at saying, listen, Saul, is going to take the money, of course, and he's going to start his own firm, and he's going to be the Saul we know in Breaking Bad. But little by little, I love the slow process before we get there. So another great episode. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think it was a good episode? Do you not think it was a good episode? Let me know. Please subscribe. Please like. I make videos every single day. And until next week, until another, the season finale. All the shows are gone, and we have one more, episode left. Walking Dead's gone. Now Saul's gonna be gone. It's gonna be a while before I get my fix of Better Call Saul, so I better go back to Breaking Bad episodes. So thank you guys for listening. Let me know, and I will see you next week for the season finale. All right, bye.